Russian troops are reportedly facing a dire situation on Nestryha and Buhaz Islands in the Dnipro River delta in the Kherson region, where some soldiers have been left in their positions for months without rotation. This was reported by Atesh movement on April 10, who have agents embedded within the Russian forces' 61st Naval Infantry Brigade. According to the partisan group, Russia's military command is deliberately refusing to withdraw certain personnel, keeping some soldiers stationed on the islands for months without rotation. Some have reportedly been stuck there since January 2025. Their supply lines are on the verge of collapse. Deliveries are made by drone but are insufficient, and wounded soldiers are evacuated using rubber boats. In many cases, there are no medical supplies at all, Atesh wrote. Due to damp conditions and poor sanitation, troops are suffering from widespread fungal infections, abscesses, skin diseases, and even frostbite. Morale among the soldiers is described as critical, the resistance movement added. On March 4, Atesh reported that Russian troops were allegedly refusing to follow orders to storm islands in the Kherson region due to losses and rumors of a possible ceasefire in the near future. The Dnipro Delta remains one of the hottest front lines in the war. Following Ukraine's counteroffensive in 2023, the area turned into a swampy trap, especially for Russian forces, who, according to analysts, continue to suffer from severe logistical and personnel management problems. Since the liberation of the right bank part of Kherson region in 2022, these territories have become a gray zone, where intense clashes continue between Ukrainian and Russian forces. Russian troops have been trying to fortify positions on islands like Nestryha, Buhaz, Milchi, Kozatsky, and Veliky Potemkin Island to control the Dnipro River and apply pressure on Ukrainian positions. European countries vowed Friday to send billions of dollars in further funding to help Ukraine keep fighting Russia's invasion, as a U.S. envoy pursued peace efforts in a trip to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin amid growing questions about the Kremlin's willingness to stop the more than three-year war. According to Associated Press, Russian forces hold the advantage in Ukraine, with the war now in its fourth year. Ukraine has endorsed a U.S. ceasefire proposal, but Russia has effectively blocked it by imposing far-reaching conditions. European governments have accused Putin of dragging his feet. Russia has to get moving on the road to ending the war, U.S. President Donald Trump posted on social media. He said the war is terrible and senseless. In Russia, the Kremlin said Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff was meeting with Putin in St. Petersburg. Witkoff, who has been pressing the Kremlin to accept a truce, initially met with Putin envoy Kirill Dmitriev, footage released by Russian media showed. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Witkoff during his visit to Russia was discussing efforts to end the war with Putin and other officials. This is another step in the negotiating process towards a ceasefire and an ultimate peace deal, she said. After chairing a meeting of Ukraine's Western backers in Brussels, British Defence Secretary John Healey said that new pledges of military aid totaled over €21 billion, a record boost in military funding for Ukraine, and we are also surging that support to the frontline fight. Healey gave no breakdown of that figure, and Ukraine has in the past complained that some countries repeat old offers at such pledging conferences or fail to deliver real arms and ammunition worth the money they promise. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte said last week that Ukraine's backers have provided around $21 billion so far in the first 3 months of this year. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said Friday that more than $26 billion have been committed. Ahead of the contact group meeting at NATO headquarters, Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov said a key issue was strengthening his country's air defenses. Standing alongside Healey at the end of it, Umerov described the meeting as productive, effective and efficient, and said that it produced one of the largest packages of assistance Ukraine has received. "We're thankful to each nation that has provided this support," he said. Britain said that in a joint effort with Norway just over $580 million would be spent to provide hundreds of thousands of military drones, radar systems and anti-tank mines, as well as repair and maintenance contracts to keep Ukrainian armored vehicles on the battlefield. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has renewed his appeals for more Patriot systems since 20 people were killed a week ago, including 9 children, when a Russian missile tore through apartment buildings and blasted a playground in his hometown.
War is returning to where it was least expected. On the night of April the 9th, Ukrainian drones, for the first time, reached the Orenburg 2 airfield, located more than 1,000 kilometers from the border with Ukraine. The scale of this operation shocked even Russian military circles. Russia had never dreamed of such distances in any of its worst nightmares. According to local authorities and Russian media, the strike was carried out on the Orenburg 2 military airfield, where the 117th Military Transport Aviation Regiment and the 7th Engineering Airfield Battalion are based. It is from here that technical support is provided to military aviation, including aircraft involved in the logistics of the Russian army. Videos of drones flying overhead appeared in regional public groups, and later photographs with the wreckage of one of the drones, despite the governor's statement about the complete repulse of the attack by air defense systems. Obviously, not all targets remained out of reach. The attack on Orenburg turned out to be part of a large-scale night operation by Ukrainian UAVs that covered more than a dozen Russian regions at once. According to official data from the Russian Defense Ministry, Russia was attacked by 160 Ukrainian drones over the course of 10 hours. The strikes were recorded in the Kursk, Belgorod, Voronezh, Penza, Saratov, Oryol and Nizhny Novgorod regions, as well as in the Stavropol territory, Krasnodar, annexed Crimea and North Ossetia. In the Saratov region, explosions were heard near a strategic aviation base. It is from there that Tu-95MS and Tu-160s strike Ukrainian cities. The area in the Penza region, where an arsenal of missile and artillery weapons is located, was also hit. Back in late March, Ukraine launched a powerful attack on the Shaikovka airfield, destroying a warehouse with Kh-22/32 missiles and their maintenance facilities. At the same time, the result was confirmed by satellite images. Today, we are not just talking about repeating the success, but about a fundamentally new level, overcoming thousands of kilometers, attacks on logistics and aviation hubs. This is already a new generation strategy. Ukrainian drones demonstrate not just range and accuracy, but a new logic of war, when strikes are carried out not only on the front, but also on deep infrastructure, weakening Russia's ability to replenish resources. Moscow is increasingly faced with the fact that the wars of the new century are not fought only at the contact line, and now even Orenburg is not the rear, but a target.